Hi everyone, it's Louis here from thearbacademy.com with another really quick video, this time about how to use an arbitrage betting calculator, also known as a Surebet calculator. An arbitrage betting calculator is a really important tool for any arbitrage bettor, as it automates a lot of the manual calculations that you would normally have to do when searching for arbitrage bets. Any good arbitrage betting calculator should do the following three things. 1. It should determine if an arbitrage betting opportunity actually exists for a given set of odds. 2. It should determine the profit margin of an ARB. And 3. It should automatically calc your stakes for each leg of the ARB to ensure that you lock in a profit regardless of the outcome. So if you navigate to the arbacademy.com website via the link in the video description, you will arrive here at thearbacademy.com/arbitrage betting calculator. And if you scroll down, you'll be able to access the calculator here. The first thing you'll notice is that there are two different tabs here for desktop and mobile view. And make sure you select the right one for the device you're using to ensure that the layout is optimized for your device. In this particular case, I'm obviously recording this video on my laptop, so I will be using the desktop view. If we scroll down here, then we're basically right into the calculator. And the first thing to do when you're using this calculator is to select the number of legs. Here where it says how many bets will you place, this is the number of legs that there are for that particular arbitrage bet. For example, if it's a football match and then you're looking at the win market, you're going to have 3 different legs for that particular arbitrage bet, because there's obviously team 1, team 2, and then the draw is the third possible outcome. Once you've done that, then you need to estimate a total stake, and this is just an initial guess for how much you are planning on betting across all of your bets. In this case, we have 3 different bets here, so I'll just bang in 200 here. You can see that the calculator is denominated in dollars here, but the currency is basically irrelevant. If this was pounds or euros, the numbers would be exactly the same, so you can just kind of ignore the currency sign here essentially. Moving on, the next step is then to enter your odds in decimal form for each of the bets that you're going to be placing. So this is where you enter the best available bets that you can find at bookmakers that you have accounts with, and you would enter them here in decimal form. So if, for example, we were looking at a soccer match or something like that with 3 possible outcomes here, the odds may look something like this. You might have the favourite might be sitting at 2, you might be 3.75 for the draw, for example, and then maybe 5.2 for the outsider. And you can see that the calculator, once we finish filling in those odds, the calculator automatically auto-fills the rest for us, and it's telling us here how much we should stake on each particular outcome, on each of the bets there. And you can see that totals to 200, based on our initial guess of $200 being roughly what we wanted to totally stake on this arbitrage bet. And you can see that once we have finished filling in those odds there, the calculator has automatically auto-filled quite a few other cells there. If we just ignore these ones over here for a minute, the first thing you want to look at is down here where it says probability. And if you've had a read of my article on arbitrage calculations and formulas, you'll know that what we're looking for here is a probability of less than 100%. If we have a probability of less than 100%, then we know that there is an arbitrage bet available here. And this probability is essentially calculated by taking the inverse, summing up the inverse of each of these odds. I'm not going to go into the details here, but I do have an article on my website, thearbacademy.com. Please feel free to check that out if you want to understand how these calculations are done. But just understand that if the probability is less than 100%, then you're in luck because you've got an arbitrage bet on your hands. The thing you want to look at after that is what is the profit margin? How much can we expect to make on this arbitrage bet? And that's here in this cell here. You can see that for this particular arbitrage bet, we're looking at a profit margin of approximately 4.28%, which is pretty healthy profit margin for a single ARB, so that's quite good to see. And then if we zoom back out there, we can see the calculator has automatically filled the stake for each of our bets here. So it's recommending that we place $104.28 on the first bet, $55.61 on the second, and then $40.11 on the third bet there. And that these sum up to $200 as per our initial guess over here of the total stake of $200. So that's good to see that that's all worked out there. The next column is called payout, and that's showing you that if this particular bet here was to be successful, the first bet, that's how much payout we could expect. Total winnings from that bet, including our stake of $104.28, we would get a total payout of $208.56. So considering that we staked in total $200, our profit then would be $8.56, and that's the $208.56 minus our stake of $200. Because if this bet was to come off, that means the other bets have failed. So we've lost our total stake here of $200, but we've gained winnings of $208.56, which is a total profit of $8.56. And you can see it's similar with the other bets here. The second bet, we would expect a slightly lower payout, 2 cents lower, and we'd get a profit of $8.54. And then for the third bet, we'd get a profit of $8.57. So you see that you can see that the calculator has done its best job at distributing the profit as best it can across all of the different outcomes here. So by staking $200, we're going to get a total return of $8.57 in profit. So that's really good. Most arbitrage betting calculators stop there and don't have any extra features, but I've actually added in a couple of extra features which I think are really helpful for arbitrage bettors. The first one being is this section here called stake biasing options, and this is where if you believe that a particular bet or a particular set of odds has a lot of value, you can bias your stakes to ensure that you maximize profit on that particular leg. So if you one of the legs is with a soft bookmaker and you think that their odds are quite far off, they're too generous, they're too long for the true probability of that outcome, then what you can do is you can bias your stakes to favour that. So if we have a look here, and if I just click on bet 1, and then we go back over to the calculator over here, you can see that what it's done is it's left the stake the same for the first bet, but it's actually lowered the stakes for the other two bets to ensure that for these particular options, if they were to come off now, we would have a lower payout than before. In fact, we'd actually just be breaking even on them. We wouldn't be making any profit here, or we'd be making a profit of 1 cent on this particular one. But by lowering the stake on these ones, bets 2 and 3, and leaving it the same for bet 1, we've actually managed to increase our total profit if bet 1 was to come off, if that was to be successful. So our profit there is now going to be $15.81, which is approximately double what it was before. So I think that's kind of a really useful feature for those times when you've got, for example, a sharp bookmaker like Pinnacle versus a soft bookmaker that's really slow to change their odds, and you really think that there's a lot of value there in the soft bookmaker's odds. You can bias your bets to favour that particular outcome. The second feature that I've added, which I think is quite useful, is stake rounding. And this is where, if you want to disguise your arbitrage activity from the bookmakers, you can round your stakes for one or more of your bets of the arbitrage bet, one or more of the legs, and that allows you to not use stakes. As you can see before, the stakes that we're recommending were $104.28. If you were betting that with a soft bookmaker, you wouldn't want to bet that because that flags you immediately as an arbitrage bettor. No regular punter is betting down to individual cents. So what you would want to do in that case is you would want to go down here. I'll just turn off the stake biasing for now. Down here at the stake rounding, you can then select bet 1. If that bet was with a soft bookmaker, for example, and you wanted to round those stakes, click on bet 1. And then here you can choose in this little drop-down menu what you would like to round your stake to the nearest whole $1, $5, $10, or $20. And I recommend that you use $5 as a bare minimum. Betting $57 or $69 or something on individual bets, it's better than betting $104.28, but it's still not great. So if we just select $5, for example, there, and then we go back up to the top here, you can now see that stake, rather than $104.28, has now been set to $105. And note that we took off the stake biasing before, so these have returned to normal, and just this one here has been rounded to $105 there, to the nearest $5. A little kind of side effect of doing this is that because you're rounding it now, the profits aren't going to be perfectly even across all of the bets now. Because this one got rounded up a little bit, the profit is a little bit higher for this first bet, and then now that we're spending a little bit extra money on the stake for the first bet, the profit for the second and third bet has just gone down a little bit there. But you can, if you want to, you can play with the total stake that you're entering here, and that'll give you some slightly different results if you want to play around with that. Another powerful thing is that you can also change, you can select multiple stakes here to be rounded. For example, if they were all with soft bookmakers, we could select all of the checkboxes here. And then if we go back up, you can see that the calculator has now rounded all of the stakes for all of the options here. And they still total to $200, which is nice. But you can see the payout now is different for all of them. And then accordingly, the profit is also different for all of them. They're still all returning a positive amount, which is good. But it's not kind of as evenly distributed as it used to be. And this effect becomes more pronounced the greater the rounding you use. For example, if I decided to go with $20 rounding, and then we go back up here, you can see now that this one here used to be $55, and now that's been rounded up to $60, to the nearest $20 there. And this one has been rounded to $40, and this one $100. So the payouts are actually quite drastically different now. And for this first option, we're actually just breaking even on that one now. And then our profit has been increased significantly on the second option up to $25 if that one was to come off. So you can see that it's quite uneven now in a way. But that's just kind of the trade-off you have to make if you're wanting to disguise your activity. And I really do recommend that you do that, as the more that you can disguise your arbitrage activity, the longer betting career you're going to have as an arbitrage bettor. And that's more important. It's more important to have a long arbitrage betting career than it is to try to get the perfect exact amount of profit on every single arbitrage bet. In the long run, that doesn't really matter. What matters is that you can keep doing arbitrage bets for many, many months. You can also combine these different rounding and stake biasing. For example, if you wanted to bias to the second bet here, you can do that, and the calculator's done that now. You can see that it's giving this one almost $28 of profit, and the other ones are just breaking even. And then you can go down here and then also say, well, I'd like to round that bet, say, to the nearest $10 just for number 2 and for number 3 here. And then if we go back up, you can see that it's done that here. Say that we did that for... Say that we were rounding to the third bet there. Biasing to the third bet there. And there you go. You can see that these two have been rounded to the nearest, I think it's $10. Yeah, these have been rounded to the nearest $10. And we're also biasing to favour as much profit as possible on the third bet there, which it's done. Normally, if we were just biasing to the third bet only with nothing else, with no other rounding, then this one would be 0 as well, as it would be reducing the stake on this particular option. But because we're rounding to the nearest $10, this has been rounded up from 40 something up to 50. So that's increased the profit there a little bit, but wound it back a little bit for the third bet. So as you can see, it's all just kind of tweaking with the settings to get it exactly how you like it. And don't forget, you can play around with the total stake at any time. I can increase that to 300. And then the calculator would automatically readjust here, everything. And you can see that now I've increased the total stake, but it's still rounding to $10 for these two and biasing to the third bet. We've actually ended up in a unique situation where the stake for bet 2 has actually been rounded down quite a bit, down to $60, probably from like $63 or $64 or something. And that's actually resulted in that there's a potential loss here for the second bet. If that bet was to come off at the moment based on these stakes, we would actually end up losing money, losing $15. And these kind of situations occur more commonly when we've got quite a few settings activated here. If you've got, in addition to the stake biasing, if you've also got a lot of rounding as well, you can find some situations where the calculator will produce stakes that can result in negative profits. So you have to just be a little bit aware of that. If we were to take all those roundings back off, you'll see that now it has returned, hopefully, yes, to, we'll be losing 1 cent here now, but basically we're breaking even on these two, and that it's focused all the profit here into that third bet. So it's really just a trade-off for you as to how safe you want to be versus the risk of perhaps losing a couple of dollars on a particular arbitrage bet. Even in that previous situation where we were losing $15 in that second bet, our expected profit margin was still a positive profit margin of 4.28% regardless. It was just not evenly distributed across all of the outcomes. But if you made that bet many times, you would still expect to profit on average 4.28%. So you shouldn't be necessarily too afraid if you can see that one of the legs has a slightly negative profit margin. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoy using my arbitrage betting calculator. If you have any feedback or ideas for how the calculator could be improved, please leave them in the comments section below, and I'll definitely get back to you as soon as possible. If the video has helped you at all, please like it and subscribe to my channel. I would be really grateful if you could do that. I'll be uploading many more arbitrage betting related videos there with lots of useful advice. I think there'll be a lot of value in there for you. Please check that out. And finally, if you're interested in any arbitrage betting training, please check out the 100% free arbitrage betting course on my website at thearbacademy.com. There'll be a link below in the video description. Please check that out. And otherwise, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. All the best. Bye.